Man, when it comes to horror movies, there's always one thing in your life that really is your gateway into the genre. Well, this was mine. What's up, everybody? Garrett back here, and I want to talk about a gateway, the biggest gateway in my life when it comes to horror movies and loving the horror genre and being very intrigued by the horror genre. Now, all of this stems from my uncle, who I've talked about a ton of times on this channel, how he is a huge horror fan. He had his name in Fangoria back in the day. I mean, he was doing a lot of tape trading. He was recording things from 35mm to VHS, creating huge collections, selling them through Fangoria. He had tons of stuff going on back in the day and was completely obsessed with horror. So, of course, when I was born, he made it his mission to take me on the journey with him. And going back in time, he used to show me things as a little kid to try to get me intrigued. Too young to be watching this stuff. I can remember at an early age him showing me Texas Chainsaw Massacre, which is a whole nother video. He showed me Friday the 13th Part 3, which I've talked about in other videos. But yeah, he was just so obsessed with horror movies. I remember him having all of these VHS tapes, but most of them were like recorded. So he had them like these brown cases, almost like something you'd pick up at the library, these brown clamshells, and he had printed on there the name of the movie. So he always had this library. It almost looked like encyclopedias, but it was all VHS tapes that he had recorded off 35mm prints. So again, with that being said, I was so young. My parents were like, absolutely not. He's not watching horror movies, but he didn't want to stop there. So when I was a real little kid, he came over with a gift that my parents still weren't excited about. Now, this gift was something that he gave me, and my parents immediately took away and put it up in this cabinet in the garage and just let it sit there for, man, I don't know how long. I completely forgot about them. And then one day, maybe like later that year, a year later, I was in the garage and my dad had opened that cabinet to get a tool or something, maybe like car wax or whatever it was. And I saw that box there and I said, oh my God, I forgot about that. I need to open these. Now we're talking about cards. I was a huge baseball card collector in my young years. So much so I'd go to card shops, and my uncle was also the person who was totally into baseball cards. So we used to go to card shows, card shops all the time, and I was building this cool collection of baseball cards. So anyway, looking in that cabinet and seeing that box that he had bought me for my birthday in 1988, I knew I needed to see these. I needed to see exactly what this is about. And I can remember the first pack I took out of that box of 1988 Fright Flicks. Now, man, I didn't know much about horror movies at this time. I knew of horror movies from my uncle, but I didn't really know much about the horror movies. I mean, man, we're talking, I was like 6 years old when these came out. So I was a real young kid. And man, the next pack was this. Look at these images on these packs. For a 6 or 7 year old opening these for the first time, like, this is nuts to see these images. Granted, they're cartoon images, but how cool is this? Like, these are something I'd want to frame up. They meant so much to me. And these are Fright Flicks, which is my real introduction to the world of horror. You have the Predator here. That was another pack. And last but not least, you do have Pumpkinhead here as well. So these are the 4 packs that you got inside that box. Now the box, I wish I had. The box had Freddy on it, and I can remember he bought me a full case of these things. And check this out. How nostalgic and badass are these? These are sealed packs. These are not open. The gum is still in there. And no, I'm not going to open one and eat the gum live right now. Absolutely not. But I wanted to showcase to you guys because, man, opening that case for the first time and seeing these packs, I knew I was in for something special. I was like, these are no baseball cards. This is insane. And I was kind of fearful of what I was going to find inside these packs. So I happened to open them, and again, it was a full case. And man, I started seeing all these different movies. These crazy images that I had never seen before. And the thing about these Fright Flicks cards was there was a little saying at the bottom of these cards, almost like a quote. And to me, I thought these were the quotes that they were saying in the movie. But these cards were almost pretty comedic. So a lot of these quotes were a comedic quote that had nothing to do with the image of the movie. But me, as a young kid, thought this was exactly what it had to do with. And man, that used to confuse me. I was so intrigued by what I was seeing, by these crazy images, and then trying to imagine what this movie could have been about. I have all of them, guys. I have every single one of these cards. In that pack, I was able to complete all 90 cards and all 11 stickers put out by Topps in 1988. Now, why did Topps release these things called Fright Flicks in 1988? Well, horror was in a huge boom at that time. Horror was kind of mainstream at that time. They had had success with Garbage Pail Kids, and they said, you know what, what's the next key element here that we can utilize? Let's take advantage of the horror boom here and put out these cards. Well, sure enough, like I said, my uncle had bought himself some of these cards, and he gave me one of these boxes for my birthday, which I then opened, I don't know, 6 months later or a year later, but not before my parents hid them on me when he gave them to me for my birthday that year. So what I want to showcase today is these Fright Flicks. I want to showcase my collection and kind of show you a little bit of them if you're not familiar with them, or maybe just to bring back a lot of nostalgia. But I have this cool Fright Flicks binder. Check this thing out. How rad is this? Fright Flicks, boom, you get it on the side, and you get some stuff on the back. Very, very cool. So I have everything housed in here, and I've had these in my collection now since, man, 1988. But they've been in a box, and then they were put in a binder and all this stuff. But all of them are here, and as you can see, I'm going to try to fold this so you guys can see good here. This is like the first page of all these Fright Flicks. And then, again, it goes across, and on the back, you've got all these different things it tells you about the movie. So let me pull one out really quick, and we'll showcase it. So the first one, number one in the set, is going to be this one, which kind of tells us what this is. Fright Flicks, 90 cards, 11 stickers, a Topps trading card company, and it is for the Nightmare on Elm Street 2. You can see that at the bottom. And it says up here, did it ever happen? The meteor of October 20th, 1956 hadn't seemed odd by the people of Shadyville, Maine, but 3 days later, a green fungus began to cover everything in town. After 3 weeks, it was necessary to burn the town down or halt a spreading menace. Now, this seems to me like Creepshow. That's what this seems to me. I don't know if these were real events or if they were just talking about other movies, but on the back of the card it says, did you know? And it has just like little quotes on there. But that's the first card you get in the set. You get that Freddy one with the Fright Flicks logo, kind of explaining what's going on. And this was another big one for me, because being a huge fan of this movie now, this honestly made me so intrigued by this movie, and along with the other cards in here, I think there's 15 different movies they talk about here. This is the first time in my life I'd ever seen this image. That is Amy from Fright Night, and look at that. It's a movie still, basically, and it says on the bottom, man, that soup is hot. So 6 or 7-year-old Garrett was like, what is this movie where she burns her mouth like that eating soup? That's what I thought this was. I thought there was a movie, Fright Night, it says in the back. I thought this was about a girl, or in the movie, a girl eats this hot soup and completely burns her mouth to showcase all these teeth and stuff. That's what I thought. But man, they have so many cool images here. I'm going to try to show you some. You've got Ghostbusters. I knew that one. There's a Freddy. You've got Alien. You've got The Fly. You've got Nancy there. And it says on the Nancy one, talk about obscene phone calls, and it's got the tongue. And then you've got The Fly, you've got Pumpkinhead, Baby, you're one of the greatest. Like, some of these quotes were really, really cool. Let me go to the next page here. Now check this one out. This one is from Poltergeist 2. Look at that. And it says right there, do I get extra sauce with these ribs? And I'm thinking to myself, wow. Like, what is this movie? What is this movie where this guy's eating ribs? And I couldn't understand this, but I was so intrigued by everything I was seeing here on these cards. I can show you that page as well. So here's the second page. You see all these different images here. I'm sorry about the glare, but you see these, and I'll try to get a better look at them before we're done here. But yeah, I'll showcase these in a different way so you guys can check them out. You know, here's another one. with Evil Ed, and it says Trick or Treat. Like, again, looking at this, I was like, what is this movie, Fright Night? It looks batshit crazy. I cannot wait to finally see this when I'm older. Because again, my parents were a little bit hesitant about showing me these movies. So this was literally the first time I had seen any of these stills, and I started to learn a little bit about these because I was so intrigued and infatuated with these cards. I kept looking at the back, finding out what the movie was called. And this is another one that totally blew my mind here. It says, Nancy, come sit next to Daddy. And it was the transformation scene from American Werewolf in London. Man, that to me was insane to see that image. I didn't know what I was looking at. I was like, this is crazy. Like, these movies are going to be so scary. Like, I could not figure out what I was looking at. But man, these were so nostalgic to me to really open up to be like, I need to see these movies. And the first one I'd ever seen from this, obviously Ghostbusters. Now, there was one day in like 93 or 94 that Fright Night and Fright Night 2 were playing on TV in October, right after wrestling. It said, up next, Fright Night and Fright Night 2, stay tuned. And I was like, oh, there's that movie from those cards. I'm going to finally see this. And when I did, I absolutely fell in love with both of them. But I learned that there was nothing about soup in the movie or anything like that. So again, that's when I really realized that this was all just kind of fake. And we didn't have the internet back then to look all this stuff up, but they weren't real quotes from this movie. And then in the packs, you ended up getting all these stickers here. So these stickers I had all over my room growing up because, again, I had a whole box. So I was getting tons of these stickers. And it's not on the back here, but you can see it makes out a picture, which I had this all done and on my wall growing up as a kid. Once I learned a little bit more about these movies, I went back and said, oh my God, like, I have all these cards. Let me hang some of these on my wall as I was starting to get into the genre. But man, I just wanted to showcase these to you guys and how important these Fright Flicks cards were to me growing up and getting into the horror genre. Such a staple in my collection here. And stay tuned because I'll do like a hover of the book and you can kind of see all the different cards if you've never seen these before, or like I said, for nostalgic value. But if I could pick one thing that really got me interested in horror, besides my uncle talking to me about it all the time, is 100% these Fright Flicks. Like I said, opening these cards for the first time and seeing these images for the first time intrigued me to do more with this genre here and to find out about what these gems were. But I love telling these stories. I love talking about the past. I like thinking about little things that got me into specific movies or the genre or anything like that. And I think a lot of people can relate to it because maybe there's somebody else out there that is like, oh my God, that's the first time I'd ever seen any images from these movies. And this really kickstarted my curiosity for the genre. Or maybe there's something else that really was your gateway. There was plenty for me. Are You Afraid of the Dark? You know, that was one as well. There was cartoons and toys that featured some kind of like horror aesthetic. Things like Skeletor and Insectors and all this other stuff like that. And there's one more thing besides this that was a gateway for me to get into horror. And I'm going to do that in another video. But I'm going to say right now, this was one of the main ones at 6 or 7 years old that opened my eyes to, wow, these images are insane and I need to find out more about them. So let me know down in the comments below something that maybe got you into horror. What was your biggest gateway into the genre? And also let me know, do you remember these cards? Did you have them? And I will tell you guys this, if you want to follow me on Instagram at Born2beRad, I'll be posting some of this stuff once this video is out. And if anybody's interested in collecting these cards, I have a ton left, guys. I almost have another whole full set. Not a full set, but quite a bit of them as well. And I also have some doubles of the packs too. So if anybody's really, really intrigued to start a collection here, you know, feel free to hit me up. I'm willing to sell my other stuff that I have in my collection of the extras from here. If you want to kind of start your own set, I do have some of those as well, some extras. Like I said, I did get a full box and I was able to kind of piece it all together. But I do have some available if anybody is interested. Make sure to hit me up at Born2beRad at Instagram and we can maybe work out a deal here. But Fright Flicks, man, one of the coolest things of the 80s. If you loved cards and you loved horror, You couldn't get any better. I mean, this was unbelievable here. I also think these are something with the boom of card collecting that you might start see come back around of more people interested in these Fright Flicks, because it was kind of a one-off. It was 90 cards, boom, that's it. No more series, anything like that. So definitely a real cool 80s gem that I'm so happy that I have, and hopefully I can share with you guys here. But this is Garrett at Born2beRad, and like always, stay